Bom dia. Welcome back. Well, it's Sunday morning, and I am feeling a little bit anxious about what's happening in the world, what's happening back up in my country of origin, the United States, and the madness of King Trump and all of the damage he is doing in the world and to global relations. I'm feeling vulnerable. Trump is not making friends for the United States. He's creating enemies, and he's making it more difficult to be a global citizen in today's troubled world. I haven't personally felt any animosity towards me here in Brazil, at least, yet, but I think it's probably inevitable that people are going to start reacting to Trump's antagonism and his overreach and his crypto-fascism, and there may be repercussions. And I just have been feeling vulnerable about it for the last 24 hours. I should probably wean myself off of the news. I watch a lot of news programs, news analysis on YouTube. That helps generate some anxiety in me, but it's hard not to. Just going cold turkey, it's just, I don't think I could. I feel a need to know what is going on. Everything is changing so rapidly. I mentioned this before. It would be nice to bury my head in the sand and say, well, America, you're getting what you deserve for voting for Trump, but I know that millions and millions of Americans did not vote for Trump. If you look at the overall vote in the United States, he did not even win a majority. If you include people who did not vote, include people who voted for the Democratic Party and third parties, he did not win a majority, and within the voting population, he only squeaked by with 1.5%. So he certainly did not have a landslide, and I think the more and more he takes things that Americans take for granted away and tinkers with them and jeopardizes them, speaking specifically of Medicare and Social Security, that's where I feel vulnerable, because my source of income is Social Security, and while I do get free health care here in Brazil, thank you, Brazil, for being one of the many civilized nations who have a government subsidized health care for all. Still, if anything serious were to happen to me, I'm going to feel more comfortable in my home country and my home language. The idea was always that I would go home, but who knows if that'll be available, for how long, for how much longer. Anyway, I'm having a bit of an anxiety attack about it. What would I do if for some reason I were to lose the ability to be a permanent resident here in Brazil? Well, of course, I think about going to other countries. Cambodia is at the top of my list, but how accessible is healthcare in Cambodia? How accessible are my medications in Cambodia? I know the cost of living is very accessible, but I don't know about healthcare. I've heard mixed thoughts on the subject. My income is very low, and as I mentioned, my source of income is Social Security. If I were to lose that, uh, or if it were cut off for a period of time, thanks to that monster Musk dipping into it, creating all sorts of obstacles, closing down Social Security offices, etc. I'd be in serious trouble. I have about, $400 in reserve. That's it, $400. Back up in the United States. I've been gone for solid 3 years now. Would I have a place to land in the United States? I probably could crash at my friend's house in San Francisco, but, I don't want to be a burden to anybody. I don't know how long that would last. Would I end up homeless? Homeless at 70? Not a very happy thought. All of this turmoil that Trump is causing me, and I'm sure many other people in my situation, in my age group, a lot of anxiety. Totally unnecessary and totally caused by his greed and his callousness and his hatred, really, I feel, for the American people. His egomania and his toxic narcissism. So all of this is generating for me anxiety. This too shall pass, I hope. But right now, at this moment, I feel queasy about this whole situation. Not what I expected in my golden years, and that what they call these years. No, I'm feeling more vulnerable. My health is pretty good right now. I do have some underlying conditions, as you know, heart condition, diabetes, but on a day-to-day basis, my health and energy are good. But, what happens when I'm 75 or 80? That's not that far off. I'm 70 and a half now. What would happen if I had a major emergency? I don't have a nest egg. And now that I'm dependent on Social Security and Trump and Musk are messing with it, makes me feel vulnerable and anxious. And the whole global instability is very anxiety producing, since I do consider myself a global citizen. I very much am motivated now to apply for Brazilian citizenship. I'm going to wait one more year. It turns out because once you've been a permanent resident, as a legal permanent resident as I am now, after 4 years of continuous living in Brazil, you are eligible, or I will be eligible to apply for citizenships without regard to my marital status or anything else. So I'm in my fourth year began a few days ago when I celebrated my third anniversary here as a permanent resident, and I just have to live here one more year as a permanent resident, and I can apply for citizenship without any worries. And that is what I'm going to do. Doesn't mean I'm going to give up my American citizenship, although I've thought about it, but I don't want to jeopardize my senior benefits like Social Security and Medicare, so I will have dual citizenship. But I want that second citizenship as a, how shall I put it, a life raft. So not to burden you with these thoughts on a Sunday morning, but it is reality for a lot of us, both living inside and outside the United States. It's a damn shame, but it is what it is. Kitty's been looking out the window. She's checking to see if it's going to rain. It is forecast to start raining very soon. Let's see, the skies are overcast, look kind of gray out there, but that is good. We always need rain. So no complaints from me. From what I've been reading and seeing, reading in news reports and seeing from YouTube channels, that more and more Americans are taking the option of moving abroad living abroad, escaping the United States, escaping the madness that is enveloping the United States. I'm certainly glad that I did it. And more people are making the same choice. Just be sure you do your homework. Dot your I's and cross your T's. Batten down the hatches. But go ahead and start the process. Do your research. Lots of books and YouTube videos about how to do it. The process of moving abroad. As you can see, I love my map of South America. I look at it often, thinking about options and where I would go if for some reason I had to leave Brazil. The only reason I can think of right now is the heat. As I get older, I start thinking about moving south into Argentina and Chile. Well, Argentina would be and Uruguay would be a choice because Brazil, they of course are members of Mercosur. So it's like being a member of the European Union. A Brazilian has the right to travel to and live in Paraguay, Argentina, and Uruguay without any complications, just like a EU citizen has a right to live in any EU country. So I think about that for the future. And, want to keep my options open. But I am very, very concerned about the direction that my home country, the United States, is taking. And I strongly, strongly urge all of you to learn a second language. I've got lots of language books in my bookcase. Modern Portuguese, a dictionary of informal Brazilian Portuguese, how to say anything in Portuguese, and a Portuguese dictionary over here. And of course, I've been a fluent Spanish speaker for, well over 30 years now. So I have lots of Spanish language reference books too. So again, that should be part of your research and planning. Is you don't have to become fluent, but to become conversational at least. I suppose what I'm feeling right now is vulnerable in a way that I haven't felt. I've talked about how I've traveled all over the world. I've lived in other countries. I speak 2 foreign languages. Living abroad, being abroad, traveling abroad does not make me anxious. On the contrary, it makes me feel free. And so this feeling of anxiety, and it's temporary, I know, it'll pass, hopefully today. But this feeling of anxiety that I'm feeling right now is new, is not familiar to me, and I know where it's coming from. It's coming from feeling vulnerable by global events, and especially by events that are rapidly happening in the United States. I'm wondering if any of you are feeling anxious or vulnerable for the same reasons, and if any of you are contemplating living or moving abroad. Let me know in the comments below if you have any thoughts on that. Anyway, I'm in the countdown phase for my own move, just about 100 kilometers from where I'm at right now in my little city. I'm moving back to the big city of Salvador, and I'm really looking forward to that on June 1st. I've talked about that before. Everything's all lined up. I just have to get through April and May, and that'll fly by. And then I'll be back in my an environment that's more familiar to me, which will be big city living, where I feel more comfortable. So I've got that to look forward to in the coming 2 months. Anyway, I'm going to keep this episode short today. I just wanted to check in, share my thoughts. Thank you for joining me. And it's Sunday. I wish you all a happy Sunday, hopefully a stress-free and anxiety-free Sunday. Here's my map of Brazil, where I use safety pins, colored pins to show where I've lived and visited, red ones for where I've lived and visited, and the white ones where I'm planning to go. So anyway, thanks for joining me. I'll be back soon. Beijos. Ciao.